Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As I was introduced, I'm the president of EGEC. EGEC stands for the European Geothermal Energy Council, which is the industry association, and it's the voice of geothermal energy in Europe. Our main role is to have geothermal energy in the papers of the European Union, in the policies of the European Union. We have 120 members, industrial members, who are all contributing to the development of geothermal energy. However, geothermal energy as an industry is not yet a consolidated industry. In my day job, I am an engineer and managing director of two companies in France, active on the Paris Basin district heating system, and I have to open my presentation. Yeah, and which is one of the largest district heating systems in the world, and yes, okay, yeah, good, and which is the largest district heating system in the world. Our company is active since 30 years in the business, and we have lived, let's say, from the birth of geothermal since the 1980s to now, a huge development. Well, in the initial topic, it was announced that I will speak about the Pannonian Basin, because it happens that my grandfather emigrated from Serbia 100 years ago into Western Romania, but I don't speak a word of Serbian, which I excuse for it. And I am trained in the petroleum engineering domain in the Ploie school in Romania. However, my mother language is Hungarian. So this is all about me and my company. Well, as an EGEC president, I felt the obligation, a part of the main topic, to present you a bit of the market report, which is our main document analyzing the evolution of the development of geothermal energy in Europe and also of the tendencies in the industry, which is not completely disconnected to the topic which I'm going to tell you about the Paris Basin geothermal system. I will concentrate on heating. Why heating is so important? Because in all our life, heat represents 47% of the energy use, and this heat is used 42% in households and 39% in industry. So it's a quite amount of energy which we use it as heat. We are always coming into our house. Most of the time it's comfortable, it's hot, and it's normal for us to have a heated environment and a comfortable environment. But where this heat comes from, it's always not even. Geothermal energy is the unique natural renewable resource which can satisfy all sorts of uses, which comes from shallow geothermal energy with respect to heat pumps. It can provide district heating and cooling with all sorts of resources from aquifers, and can produce cogeneration from EGS, enhanced or engineered geothermal systems, and of course it can be used for underground thermal energy storage with piles or aquifers. And last but not least, geothermal energy is widely used in greenhouse industry and greenhouse operators now in the Netherlands, which is one of the largest producer of Europe, have been, most of them, in the tendency of converting their heating system to geothermal. Well, where we are now, we have reached in 2018 more than 3 gigawatts electric installed for geothermal and more than 300 geothermal district heating operations. And we should not forget that we have more than 2 million geothermal heat pumps in operation. Geothermal district heating has 5.1 gigawatts thermal capacity. Of course, the leading countries are those countries who have quite good resources, like Iceland in capacity for heating. In red is the heating, and it's the heating and cooling, and in blue is the electricity. And these countries are followed by Turkey, which are predominantly high temperature resources, and then it's followed by France, which has quite a high capacity installed. Well, this I've seen. Well, in 2018, well, there has been some development, some new projects in Netherlands, in France, in Serbia, in Belgium, in Germany. And, well, geothermal district heating is developing slowly, steadily, and you will see why we do not have a constant development. This is a bit a chart of showing you all the new plants which have been developed, one of which is in Serbia, and most of them have been developed in Netherlands, in France. Germany is picking up because you may have heard that the Bavaria government and Munich has the ambition of decarbonizing and converting the city of Munich entirely to geothermal by 2040. Well, these are the leading countries of number of geothermal district heating plants in operation, under development and investigation. We can see that France is a leading country, and followed by Iceland and Turkey and the Netherlands. Well, geothermal, it's, let's say, capacity-wise, Iceland is the lead, followed by Turkey, as you see the graph, and then by France. Well, the average size of geothermal district heating systems, obviously, these are in Turkey, the largest one, the 50 megawatts, and in Iceland, and then the average we can see in the neighboring countries stands between 10 and 12 megawatts. Of course, as it was said earlier today, that there are small communities eligible to geothermal district heating, which are eligible to smaller plants as well. This is the chart showing you the number of commissioned plants per year. Why this chart is going up and down? Because of the lead time needed to develop a geothermal project, which I'm going to explain you in a later chart. And this is a bit the chart which shows you what is the gap of deep geothermal heating and cooling with respect to objective, the National Renewable Energy Action Plans. And then we can see that some countries have huge gaps and some they are less, and this all can be fulfilled in some way or another by geothermal. Obviously, as I told you, the biggest plant capacity is in Germany, then it's followed by Iceland, and curiously, Eastern Europe with Croatia follows up, and then France still keeps on. What are the type of operators in geothermal? The type of operators out of the 300 plants, you can see that there are essentially public authorities, these ones, and then we have local energy companies. So what does tell us? This tell us this geothermal energy is driven essentially by local wish and by local community. And of course we have private operators in action, but these private operators more often are fulfilling the contracts like delegation of the public service. Well, this is a map which has been done through the European Technological Innovation Platform for deep geothermal, which is active within which EGEC is the leader, which shows you that more than 25% of the population of Europe lives in areas which are suitable to geothermal district heating and cooling. This is a fantastic work done by our friends from Hungary, mapping up all the district heating systems, the district heating potential, matching the resource to the demand, and showing us that basically everywhere in Europe under our feet you can have, especially Eastern Europe, high density of district heating grids which are eligible to geothermal district heating. Well, this is a bit the general business model, which is, I'm not going to enter into detail, but of course it should start with the customer, then it should follow up with the proposition and everything. Or every well, it's not seeing very well, but every item in red, it's more or less motivated either by politics or by financial. Well, going in harnessing energy in the deep earth, it's comporting risk. Everything which is below our feet, let's say, it's more or less unknown. So it's geothermal development comports a risk, which decreases with time when from the first well drilling and the loop test and the second well drilling. However, the investment goes up the reverse way, but the risk is mitigated. Well, many countries in Europe, like France, traditionally, and Netherlands, and now Denmark and the Walloon region have put in place risk mitigation mechanisms, risk insurance policies, or risk sharing mechanisms. Now EGEC is working on a project which is called GeoRisk, which aims at setting up risk sharing mechanisms for all over Europe. Well, I don't know whether this could be implemented soon, but we will need serious donors from the European Investment Bank, or which now sooner or later will withdraw his financing from the fossil, and I think the funds can be available to be reverted to geothermal risk-sharing mechanism in order to cover the risk. Why do we need this risk-sharing mechanism? Because a geothermal project, it's essentially turning around one or more doublets. If the operator fails one of the wells, then he goes bankrupt, and no geothermal is going to be developed ever on that city. However, if there is a risk-sharing mechanism, this risk-sharing mechanism could essentially cover an eventual failure or an eventual reduction in the capacity. I will tell you about that on the French mechanism. Well, again, how do we unlock geothermal energy? This is the vision of the European Technological Innovation Platform of Deep Geothermal. Essentially, what we are going now to have, we are going to have 4th-generation district heating grids with smart grids and with multi-energy grids, which you have heard already in previous talks today and yesterday. Well, this is what is needed for power generation. I'm not going to insist in that, but power generation and combined heat and power are related together because they provide a more efficient use of the geothermal resource. Well, this is again the combined production. This is integrating smart gridding and also multi-source, multi-energy systems, which are the future in our energy system and in our, I would say, decarbonized energy system. Now I'm going to the main topic, talking to you about the Paris Basin. Well, the Paris Basin is not any much different of the Pannonian Basin. It's a large intracratonic basin. It's a stable sedimentary basin with very little faults. And in doing so, in the Paris area, we identify a series of aquifers, shallow aquifers, lower Cretaceous aquifers, the target, the Rodogo Reservoir aquifer, which essentially supplies most of the district heating systems. And now we are going to explore a deeper resource, which is a clastic reservoir, which is rather unknown. But now we are in the process of drilling a new well and exploring that. Well, the Paris Basin development dates back to the 1980s. And then on the dots you can see there are doublets in operation, there are projected doublets, there are triplets. Triplets are the result of the fact that existing doublets have been converted to triplets, and new triplets are projected. This is by reconversion of the energy system. And nonetheless, we had failures in the Paris area. Failures essentially because of thermochemical shortcomings, corrosion and scaling, which have led to the abandonment of certain doublets in very short time and with a large debt to the people. Today, we are 49 doublets in operation. We are producing 1,100 gigawatt thermal hour per year. The number of hours of operation average on a doublet is 8,250 hours. And then more than 1,100,000 people are benefiting of geothermal district heating in all the area. Well, downtown Paris, we do not have any systems so far, but we do have shallow systems which are even ourselves, we have constructed some on Rue de Rivoli, where is the Musée du Louvre, and also in Rue Washington, which are emblematic avenues of the Paris area. Well, fortunately we did that at the time when there were no Yellow Vest protests in Paris. Well, approaching geothermal energy is I always tell to the audience that being a reservoir engineer is like being a prophet. You know, you have to find out how to squeeze water from the stone. But since Moses, nobody was so clever to do so. So for that, you need a reservoir engineering approach, an integrated approach, which goes essentially from exploration to feasibility, and you have to go through all the steps from offset data processing, from seismic data acquisition, modeling, essentially geomodeling, reservoir modeling, and then well architecture to design the most suitable production infrastructure which you can produce your energy. A typical geothermal district heating system in France or in Paris, it stays from one doublet drilled from the same platform, 2 deviated wells which are supplying a heat plant, and the heat plant is supplying by a substation the buildings all around by a heating network. It's a very simple system. and all the geothermal system except a few are operated with a deep electro-submersible pump, and they are benefiting of a reinjection pump later. What is covered by geothermal energy? If you look at low duration curve in the Paris area for a typical district heating doublet, that we can see that a yearly renewable energy source coverage is 66%.